You actually needed a bit of game from me and advice from me when it comes to replying to girls and getting responses. Yo everyone, so welcome to episode 2 of CenTalks. Here we have a new guest for the month of June, Aryan, one of the shortest graduates of 2025.
Yeah, indeed, bro. Alright, as the coach said, my name's Aryan and I graduated from Bowen High in 2025 and currently I'm at Monash University doing a double degree of Commerce and IT.
Damn, fancy. But so before joining Cenable Care, man, I've heard many stories from you, as well as some of your mates, that
of course.
you were a very different student. Let's call it that. But things have changed. I would say for the better. Could you maybe just go through that transition a little bit more?
Okay, perfect. So before I came to Bowen, before I came to you, I was at a private school, all boys private school, between year 5 to year 8. And then between year 8 and 9, I transitioned to Bowen High. And obviously that was very different for me, coming from an all boys, pretty toxic environment. And obviously being one of the few brown people there, it's pretty rough. And then moving straight to Bowen, where it was obviously very multicultural, a lot of different environment as well, boys, girls, stuff like that. And I just wasn't used to it. So I was just in a pretty shit place. And then I came to you, and then everything sort of just transformed.
For the better.
Yeah.
Now, if I remember, I think you started in Cenable Care around grade 9.
Yeah.
Which, when we think about that, was like 2022, something like that, ages ago.
4 years.
Yeah, I mean, I have some crazy memories of that first time I got to meet you and your dad and the whole setup at the center and all. I think it might be worth you sharing that experience a little bit, like how you came in being like, nah, why am I here for tutoring? Send me back. And then you went out almost like, I want to come back again and again and again.
Literally, bro. Like, I was just so interested in everything. It's all new. I walk into a pretty cool looking environment, right? We've got like pretty sick carpets on the ground, Supreme, some nice, wallpapers and stuff. It's very clean.
Yeah.
I sat down in a chair so there's a lounge room, the first room that you enter into, and a chair at the back. I think my dad was in the front, and you were just drawing on some whiteboard. And there was some very basic concepts, some algebra thing you were going through, also trying to get to know me a little bit as well. My dad was already intrigued. He was like, myself, sure.
Yeah.
But I was still like, it was very interesting. And then that's probably the first tutoring experience where I've actually gotten to know the actual guy behind it all.
Yeah.
Like going to other places, it's weird because you don't even know the teacher, you don't know anyone else there, right? All you know is, okay, they're giving you a piece of paper, you should write.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing really that you can really enjoy about something like that.
Yeah.
As opposed to Cenable.
Yeah. Would you say like there was something about that first sort of impression you got of me that was like, I gotta lock in now, I gotta sign up to this?
Yeah, you were just like fun, bro. Along with like the first class, you were just fun. Like other tutors, not as fun, not as interesting, not as engaging for sure. The way you taught was definitely one of the things that made me stay.
Yeah, and I hope a lot of you viewers out there, you feel the same way. So I would say that I do put in a lot of effort, into my classes. I used to tutor a lot more hours back in the day versus now. I think back when I used to tutor Aryan, he always used to ask me about my work schedules. And, it'd be Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. with like 5-minute breaks and stuff. But things have changed now. I'd say things have changed for the better. But yeah, I really do hope everyone out there, you guys do enjoy the effort, not just myself, but also the team within Cenable Care, Aryan being a member as well, that we put into our classes, our resources, our structure and everything. But otherwise, let's go back to you now. Tell us what VC subjects you did, how you came to those decisive moments, and sort of a brief experience on each of them.
Okay, cool. So I did methods, chemistry, biology, English language, and then some IT subject. IT was obviously like just the kickback subject. Everything else I took fairly
very typical considering you're a brown person. But
of course. Methods, it's a given. What Asian doesn't do methods?
Very true.
Chemistry, well, all the electives I did sort of did veer to that direction. I didn't enjoy physics as much. I enjoyed biology, but chemistry was also there. And obviously, for any pathway that involved knowing chemistry, just to keep that open, I did that. Bio was a very last minute decision.
Mm.
Because I remember calling you literally like 30 minutes before I had to submit my preferences.
Mm-mm.
And I was, thinking.
And I think a week before that, it was me, you, and both your parents in one of the
it was
classrooms, and it was
pretty
a
serious
full on discussion, like make it or break it sort of thing.
Literally. And then last minute we went for bio because I think you did. I remember you told me very key things that one of the things you learn in biology actually comes in the end of Chem 3-4 as well.
And to the viewers out there, just to sort of cut off quickly, what he said is very true. So a lot of you guys that do bio and chem as like a couplet, it is a smart idea to an extent. You got to like that sciences a little bit. But what you learn in enzymes in bio at the start of the year, it comes in chem later on in the year. So it gets to a point where it's very free. You don't actually need to study too much because it's all at the back of your head from the start of the year.
Exactly.
Cool. Last question I have in this particular section is, what was like your biggest academic challenge you faced before even joining Cenable? Because you were in your private school, like you said, grade 5 to 8.
Yeah.
What was the academic challenge? Was it a particular subject? Was it a particular study habit, study style, etc.?
Okay, the one thing that I know I should have worked on better all throughout high school was actually knowing how I study myself. I only figured this out halfway through year 12. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Risky, but
yeah. No. So I would suggest anyone who was watching, figure out how you study. How do you learn best? Because that's the one thing. Like you can't follow what other people do. Like people will do mind maps, key cards, whatever, flashcards stuff. I'm using any of that. It didn't help at all. That's one of the biggest things. Subjects wise, I was pretty mid to low in everything.
At the start?
At the start, yeah.
At the start, yeah. But
it's
once you clicked, I guess, or once you started feeling that compatibility with your study technique,
yes, of course.
I think that's when things started to roll on.
Mid-year 12.
Mid-year 12. Hey, I'd say maybe around year 11 is when the science started, but then it got better during year 12. All right, everyone. So now let's talk about Aryan's overall experience within Cenable over these last 4 years. I'm sure a lot of you students out there, either currently in the business or maybe who are just encountering this reel or podcast for the first time, you might be just interested to hear, how did he grow within Cenable? So, the first question I wanted to ask you was, what was the biggest difference in the learning style within a Cenable classroom and then at school?
Yeah, so one of the biggest differences, obviously, it's given is that class sizes, right? And that obviously affected how much time a teacher could spend with each individual student. Something that I valued more at Cenable Care. Also, as opposed to other tutoring centers where the classes are very similar to class sizes in school. Right, Cenable Care actually keeps it very low, maximum 9 students.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think I've mentioned this in the last episode as well. I mean, that is one of our priorities, and we are trying our best to keep it at that and to be able to meet your needs as well. In your case, you were lucky. All the group classes you were in, I was your tutor. Maybe unlucky. I don't know.
Definitely.
Now, within this experience, obviously, you dealt with me very closely, within an academic background as well as outside. From a resource point of view, though, obviously, every week you come in and you leave with 3, 4, 8 booklets every single week. I'm curious, how the hell did you organize all this stuff?
At first, I didn't.
Yeah.
Like my whole ground in my bedroom was just like a wallpaper. Just methods, chemistry, bio resources. But then I got folders, and my folders would fill up very quickly. Like, I'm pretty sure I have all of them still. It's just sitting somewhere in my room. But yeah, folders is the main thing.
Folders.
And I'd have separate folders for school, like the school set and then the tutoring set.
Would you say this sort of organization model that you have, how long did it take for you to develop this?
Quite long, because I mix it up quite often.
Yeah.
At first, I did everything in one folder.
Yeah.
So it got really messy.
Yeah, and I remember in the previous part of this podcast, you mentioned about like your study habits. You were trying to find a compatible way.
Yeah.
Would you say that you need to find the compatibility within the organization, and then that will result in the study habits?
Yes.
So that's the flow chart.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So then you kids out there, if you just heard that, this is really important. Don't after this podcast think, oh yeah, you know what, I'm gonna listen to Aryan's advice and be like, I need to figure out my study habits as well. I reckon key number one is organization.
100%.
And probably before organization, it's determination. It's the fact that you actually want to do well. I mean, sad reality is there are kids that I tutor as well as Aryan tutors that no matter how much we push, they just don't want to do well. And it gets to a point it's like, damn, what can we do, right?
Yeah.
But I do got to admit, a lot of the kids out there, they do want to do well. So like, it seems like you all have the determination there, but now organization and then finally that study
Use
habit
it to each other,
aspect, No, but I do want to go back into the whole group environment thing. Really emphasize that a little bit more, you know? So there were kids that from year 9 you were with since year 12. Like there were definitely a few constants in the math and science. I think that's what you started tutoring with in year 9 and year 10. And then it went into all the various VC subjects. I think when you were with me in year 9 and 10, the groups are kind of small, like
it was
4 or 5 kids.
Small,
but then as the business grew and the room sizes grew, then slowly you started to deal with more and more people.
Yes.
Tell me this, are you close with any of those guys anymore?
I still am.
Oh, okay,
That's good. It's good.
Yeah, that's good. So do you think sometimes like a close group environment can allow you to form closer relationships with individuals?
Then as opposed to a larger class, 100%.
Yeah. And I think, see, with the larger class, you there are a lot of tutoring companies out there where you have like a big fat friend group going in.
Yeah.
Now, I reckon, especially in your chem class, if I remember correct, we had a pretty Bornheim dominant aspect in that class. Would you say having more people that you knew, that you're already seeing 5 days a week in that class, got a bit distracting at times?
Yes, 100%. 100%. It would be just like school.
Exactly, yeah. And we've had our moments where I'd yell at you,
Of course.
potentially, you know, abuse you.
Definitely.
verbally.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just because I want you to do well, obviously, number one, and that I want you to get your work out of it. Because at the end of the day, you can just go to a group class environment in Box Hill with like 30 kids and then you'll be fine, right? I think. Now, within your learning during Cenable Care, I do want to touch on resources a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. You've seen, especially considering you work now in the business.
Yeah.
Honestly, excuse my language, but shit's changed. It's changed huge from last year to this year. You probably look at it this year thinking, damn, like,
I'm pretty jealous.
Yeah, Kash is an asshole, like, to be honest.
Jealous,
He didn't bring all this last year. Thanks to the funds from last year, I'm able to do it this year. But no, you've seen the portal, you've seen the masterclasses, you even tutor a few of the masterclasses as well. Probably deal with way more kids than what you would have imagined too, right? Now, like you said, you're jealous about it, but I'd say things happened last year that made it somewhat worthwhile for you as well, right?
Yeah,
academically. Talk a little bit more about that in terms of what did you find that was really worth in the resources to help you out?
Okay. One thing definitely is that it skipped all the delete out, right? It went straight to the point.
Yeah.
Your textbooks will have a whole bunch of information that you don't even know about. Same with your PowerPoints, which are relevant, essentially. Most of it, or some of it would be irrelevant. You know, that just make it way more confusing when you're learning the content. Cenable Care booklets were also very simple. Content, and then questions. And then going through the content wasn't just reading as well.
There's like annotations.
Annotations.
I think we wrote more annotations than the number of words in the bloody booklet.
That really helped, you know, as opposed to just reading and highlighting a few words. That's definitely one thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And now I also want to talk about your SAC periods as well. So like, see, in year 12 in particular, because in year 11 you did the IT subject. No, you did.
In year 11 I did some.
You did like a vet subject or whatever. And you dealt with that on your own, right?
Yeah,
but then year 12 came, 4 sets of tutorings every week. Actually 5, you were in that accelerator class as well. Crazy SAC periods, right?
Yes.
I gotta ask you this, man. Like, how the hell did you manage 5 sets of tutoring classes as well as SAC periods? You know, you did occasionally wag a couple. I did give it to you, you know, earfully, quite a bit in terms of those moments, which many of your peers also wagged a few classes here and there, claimed to be watching recordings. Yeah, I wonder. How do you manage it?
To be honest, it was definitely like very busy, and that's one thing I wish I did better. If I look back, managed it better, managed like how much time I spent studying what, knowing what to study, things like that. Organization could have definitely been way better in year 12. That's what I would suggest to most people or everyone. Figure out what you actually have to study. Figure out what you have to do. Figure out your timeline. And have a day-to-day structure of, okay, today I'm going to do these tasks and actually get it done.
Yeah.
So I would occasionally say, oh yeah, I'll get this done, but I never go anything.
Yeah. So would you say there were moments, during year 12 where like stress was peaking?
Yes.
Hormones are peaking.
Yes.
Right? So let me ask you this now. How did maybe being within the Cenable Care environment, like it doesn't just have to be myself. I think there were definitely a few peers as well that calmed you down. Like it made you sane. How did that help you out? Or how do we help you out?
I feel like classes were conditioning for the stress of school.
Oh, that's a hard quote, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
All right, can you elaborate that? Because now I'm curious.
Honestly, there was always a constant stress of don't make the same mistake, for example, or don't make a silly mistake. Don't mess it up, Because either you get flamed by the class or you get flamed by a coach.
Hey, these are bars, bro.
No, but it's true, and the conditioning sort of did help with dealing with stress a little bit.
So when you mean conditioning, would you say like that push to shove within the Cenable Care classroom, within our unique SACs, we've had some ridiculous SACs, I'll randomly bring out 5 questions in the multiple choice and be like, yo kids, give me back your SAC and do these multiple choice questions, But I think you got it. You got my vision at least of what I wanted. I wanted to build you guys as mentally tough.
Exactly.
If you can deal with it in a class of 8, you can deal with it in a hall with 150, 200 plus kids.
Exactly.
And in all honesty, now that I look back, I don't really remember moments in year 11 and year 12 where you said you felt stressed during a SAT period.
No.
I think this guy felt more stressed in other situations, completely outside the academic realm, which we will talk about later on, maybe.
Sure.
More than the SAC and exam period, which I think, it's I take that as an achievement on myself too, and I think you should take that as an achievement on yourself. Because now in uni, when do the average stereotypical kid feel the stress? During uni exam period, right?
Yeah.
What about the remaining 340 days in the year? Nothing, correct? So you have this ability now that you can manage and maintain all of it. That's your example. Cool. All right, now, enough about Cenable Care, enough about his life in high school. Let's talk about what's happening outside, man.
Yeah.
So you are in Monash Uni doing, was it Common IT?
Commerce and IT, yeah.
Common IT. Tough course, right?
Yeah.
Full on. How is it going? Let's start with that. Don't lie to me.
Don't lie to me. I'm pretty cooked. Can't lie.
Yeah.
I'm still I haven't really locked in, as opposed to ever since VC ended, I've sort of just been on the cruise mode. But now I've sort of realized, oh shit, I actually gotta lock in, I actually gotta study for this shit.
Would you say that 4 months after year 12 possibly ruined everything in terms of the progress?
Progress.
Yeah, because think about it. You said you found the compatibility to everything in year 12.
Yeah.
And then holidays hit. Obviously, it was a big stress relief, right?
Yeah,
so you felt good about it.
Yeah.
But then, it just kept on going and going, and nights got wilder, and events got louder.
Too many after, so this ruined the routine.
Yeah. So I actually want to ask you this now that you've experienced that 4 months, and I believe I've always emphasized to my year 12s, especially year 12s, and the last class I see all of you, the thing I've told maybe that the last 10 to 15 minutes was 4 months, 24 hours a day, free time to the max, no schedule, no rigidity, no education. It's all dictated by you. Don't lose control of that. Which he lost.
Yeah.
He
I
lost.
lost control, yeah. It's hard.
Yeah, it is. It's easier said than done. And I think there's a lot of things that I say in particular that is easier said than done. But trying to achieve it'll make your life better, I feel. And I think a lot of you students out there, you can relate to that too. I might randomly be like, yo guys, so can you all do 3 hours of methods a day? And you all would crash out thinking like, what? But then in my head, I'm thinking, yo, you got 24 hours a day, 8 hours of school, 7 hours of sleep. What does that leave you? 9 hours a day. I'm asking you to do 3 hours of methods a day. That's not that big of a deal. That is if you want to roll 40 plus, right? Yeah. So look at it in terms of, the structure you have in your day. You've got 24 hours in which I'm requesting you to do 3 hours worth of methods. Well, yeah, if you want to roll 40 plus, I think that's a pretty fair request, right? Yeah. I mean, if you don't want to roll 40 plus, then it's chill. But like end of the day, I would say I as a tutor, as well as Aryan, as well as all the other tutors in Cenable Care, we work towards your goals. So create them high, expect more. Lower them, then don't expect as much, right?
Exactly.
Now back to those 4 months, Aryan. Obviously, like I give all this feedback and advice to year 12s. You did not take that feedback in during those 4 months.
Sort of went off track.
Yeah, your own tangent, your own path, as we say.
Yeah.
What advice would you give the year 12s this year? Because those 4 months are coming up, man. 4 months away, really, from now.
You're gonna get like overwhelmed with how much freedom you have. Okay, and you're gonna wanna like obviously do everything all at once. If I were you guys, I would build a structure to your days. So, try and make it a goal so that by the end of the 4 months, you're in a routine where no matter what happens, you're still managing your job. Uni comes in and you're still able to maintain that routine all throughout uni. That should be your goal for the end of that 4 month period. And then obviously during those 4 months, build it. If you go gym, figure out a day or the time that you go gym, figure out your splits. If you've got work, figure out what days you're working, or if you're doing personal tasks, or if you've got hobbies, figure out what times during the day. Obviously uni may take over some of those times in your day, but then you'll be in that routine. You already have that mindset where you can rotate it around and it'll still be easy to maintain.
Yeah, I mean, see, right now, especially considering you're done with high school, I think you've got 3 facets of life you're trying to manage, right? Yeah. You've got academics, you got work, and you got life.
Yes.
Right? In terms of social aspects. Now, before year 12, it was academics and life. A third factor is coming big time, work.
Yeah.
Because you work within Cenable Care, I sort of know your hours, who you deal with and everything. And there's some weeks where it goes up to 20 to 25 hours a week, which is, pretty insane.
Yeah.
And also how you're involved in a few other little side hustles involved with me too.
Yeah.
So big question for you is, how do you manage the 3 now? And are you really managing it well, or are you drowning a little bit too?
I would say there was a point where I was fully drowning. A lot of people coming into my life, a lot of people going, a lot of things were coming into my life. I had a lot of responsibilities, and they were just building up. And I had the shittiest structure, the shittiest routine ever. And honestly, the routine is what determines your ability to carry all those things or manage all those things. That's why I'm saying I'm stressing on routine so much throughout those 4 months, so that no matter what comes, no matter what avenues of life you have to manage, your routine will carry that ability. My routine, as I said, was in the dumps. I was definitely drowning. It's getting better. I'm working on it. As in terms of waking up times, sleeping times, my actual productivity, stuff like that. But I could say it's definitely manageable if you have that mindset and you're already pretty trained for it.
Yeah. And see, guys, this is Aryan obviously after year 12. So during year 12, if you feel like you are drowning, don't see this as a threat or whatever. But if you are drowning during year 12 and you're struggling to get out, you will definitely be drowning after year 12 as well.
Yeah.
End of the day, we've gone from and it's not just him, it's everyone. everyone goes like, actually for me during year 12, I was working at KFC and I was doing 2 hours of tutoring as well. So I had a work aspect, nowhere near as intense as what we are doing right now.
Yeah.
But there was a work aspect. My sociability in life aspect wasn't probably that, like not as big as yours during year
it was
12,
pretty hectic.
but like this was still pretty big for me. So take this as a motivational kick to all you year 11s and year 12s out there. Always remember, if you are feeling that tipping point, if you are feeling that stress, if you feel like you are drowning, I want you to get out of that sinking feeling and think to yourself that once this is all over, it's going to get 10 times harder. So if you can achieve it now, you will achieve it after year 12. Keep that in mind. And I reckon you'd agree with that. So, yeah, cool. Uni lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Very, I think as Pash even mentioned last episode, very open, very do what you want.
Exactly.
You know, drop out, okay. Stay in, okay. You know, that sort of thing,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So it's free for all, right?
It is.
How the heck do you go from rigidity to free for all?
That's definitely one of the things I took time to adapt to. You know, I did miss a lot of assessments, I can't lie. I sort of did blame, you know, the system for not reminding me, when in fact I should have known. You know, they will send you emails, but that's it. They're not going to check. Like, they're not going to check up. You have to book your own exam times. You have to book your own test times or whatever. You have to keep up with the content. So as you said, it's dependent on you now. You know, there's no one really pushing you, or no one really making sure you actually do the right thing.
Yeah. Fair enough, man. Yeah. And you know, now I want to sort of shift out of uni a little bit, and I want to look at our relationship, our friendship. All right. How has it changed from before year 12 to after? Because I'm sure there are a lot of students out there that are probably thinking, okay, I know Akash from a tutor point of view, professional point of view, right? But what happens after year 12? Like, does that change? Does it shift? Does it angle a little bit? I mean, give some details, not all.
Not all. Yeah. So I think one of the things that definitely carried our relationship after year 12 was just my involvement within the company, and just in a professional way.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think I did a little bit of tutoring here and there. I think end of year 12.
Yeah, that's another thing. So you're also doing a few hours there too. I forgot about that.
So that definitely carried a relationship, because otherwise, what would be the point? You know, unless it's just like pure friendship, what's the point? So definitely the professional area did carry that. And then in school was obviously very academic focused. There were a few tangents, as you say, to the academic focus where we
distractions
for sure.
Yeah,
a lot of fun moments. Fun for us may not have been fun for others. And then after it, just that academic sort of just changed into the work. So like hustles, tutoring, obviously the other things that we were doing.
That's the thing, man. Like I think we always emphasize this. It's the balance.
Exactly.
The balance of it all. Like one day you could be out at a party.
Yeah.
And the next day you got to wake up at 9 a.m. to tutor.
Yeah, literally.
And the next day after that you could be at a family event. And the next day after that, you got to grind 4 hours away writing course notes.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And it's that it's push to shove. That's all it is.
Exactly.
It's almost like me putting you in a hot environment and then straight cold, then straight hot, then straight cold. It's like, how well can your body adapt? And this is, I believe, the never-ending battle for a human being.
Yeah.
Because as you grow up, new environments emerge, new people emerge. And as Charles Darwin said, we always used to talk about this, you know, natural selection, struggle for fitness.
Yeah.
It really comes down to, are you fit enough for this lifestyle? If not, you're drowning, as you said, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Now, outside work, what are the other facets within life that you manage within your day-to-day, especially now?
Other facets of life?
Yeah. What are your hobbies, man?
What are my hobbies?
Yeah, hobbies. Let's start there.
I enjoy going out.
Okay, you enjoy going out? Yeah.
Gimlet, Bollywood, the usual.
The fine dining places, yes, fair enough.
I
wonder where you got that taste from.
Who knows?
Anyways.
Gym.
Okay.
Hobbies.
Bit dry there.
Yeah, bro, I can't lie. It's like, it's just sort of work, gimlet, and then uni.
Okay, so work going out with a little bit of uni
Yeah.
intertwined in there. What about friends? Like this is a very interesting one because you've got not too many friends.
Yeah. As in, like, most of them are like your age or a bit older, right?
That's
people that
That's an interesting.
Oh yeah, let's reframe that.
Let's reframe that.
I have like.
Okay, let's go back to what you said. Maybe give a bit more context of what you mean by older friends, because you need to elaborate a bit more on that. Let's go.
Apologies. Obviously, you introduced me to a lot of the guys you work with, the guys you know, such as the Rave crew, and then obviously others within the other businesses. And then I definitely bonded well with them. And I feel like that relationship that I carry with all these people is definitely way stronger than the relationships I had during high school.
Do you think like an aspect of that could be like your connection to me?
100%, bro. Yes.
But sometimes, would you say that could there be a negative side to it as well? Because you might be aging faster than what you really are.
I think so, yeah. Because like, if I'm being okay, no, I can't say that. Like, I have like a few mates who are actually my age.
Yeah.
Most of it would be a little bit older because I enjoy hanging out with those who are older. Not in that way.
Yeah.
Mainly because they have more life experience. They're more valuable to me.
Yeah, because whenever you come up to whenever you text me regarding like a connect or someone you met, like someone in your network, right, that you've added, they always are like older to me as well. So it's like, how are you cooking up these connections? So clearly, maybe you have a way to deal and bond and communicate to people that could be the thing you've learned a lot when it comes to dealing with me. Because I feel like with me, my key is communication.
100%, yeah.
It's literal, explicit, but I would say it's honest. You know? And do you stem off that a little bit when you deal with your people now? All right, guys. So now for the last section of the podcast, the funny moments, the stirring of emotions, the controversy, the truth. I've collected a bunch of questions here from various people.
Yeah.
Actually, I won't tell you who, but like the various people have these kind of questions that, we need to hear some more information about the real Aryan beyond the academic, professional, I manage it all facade.
All right.
So, question 1. Is it true that Akash, me, wingmanned your formal date? And looking back now, what the heck, man? Do you not have any friends or something? Or like what?
Yeah, it was a bit weird. Like, I learned afterwards, obviously. But it was funny, Obviously, I was definitely not expecting an invite from that person. And then, being the first, and probably definitely, it carried my formal experience, I can't lie. I'm going to be honest. It was a very, very good experience. But it sort of got a bit much during year 12, having to deal with everything.
And I think, from my point of view as well, because I also knew this person too that asked you, it was weird because like technically as a student of mine, I'm happy for you, but I'm worried for you.
Yeah.
I think that was the tug of war that I had to face as well with this, Like I'm glad you had a good night and everything, but like the downfall after and maybe the leading up before, it was like, bro, you got a sack. You got a test.
Literally, bro, on the night, I had a sack.
Yeah, exactly. But, now we look back, it's like, what an experience, right? It's like, damn, we learned a lot from those moments. Take that as a W, another thing to add within the book of life.
Of course.
Okay, good. Tame. I thought that was a tame question. Maybe we'll go with this one. Is it true that aside from all this academic and work-based conversations we mainly have, and we had as well, obviously during high school, you actually needed a bit of game from me and advice from me when it comes to replying to girls and getting response from group chats.
That's not, bro. That's not. That's dead, bro. That's dead.
Apologies, guys. I might have stirred a bit too many emotions there. I do have something to admit. I may have lied to all of you. That question came from me.
Yeah, alright.
But anyways, this actually, a lot of students have asked this. I think even your parents might have asked this as well. Where, look, I've dealt with so many kids before you. I've been tutoring since 2019, right?
Yeah.
But I would say my connection to the year 12s last year was at a peak.
Yeah.
And I don't think it can ever really get back to that kind of a peak. I think a factor was I've never tutored as many year 12s as last year. And I think last year had so many year 12s that I dealt with since year 8, year 9, year 10, and they all just like finished at once. So it was like a grand, like a big goodbye, basically, right? Well, not really for you. You're here again.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
And Pash as well. But the question for you, I mean, maybe you can interpret this in whatever way you want to, but like, why are you the chosen one, as many say?
That's a question for you, bro.
You know what? You might have a point there. So I think from my end, let me elaborate what this chosen one really means. And maybe you can tell me if you agree with this.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd say because there were so many year 12s I dealt with, Aryan was definitely someone that I got very close to, you know, from a friendship, professional, from every sort of point of view, correct? I gave him the hacks of life. I, you know, shared connections with him that were my mates, you know, and my mates are still now some of your mates,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I gave him advice that, you know, everyone gets advice at the end of the day, but I feel like I gave him a bit more advice than the average year.
The usual, yeah.
But, and it's not like, you know, I wasn't like creating academic advantages and disadvantages.
No.
It was just more that what he was experiencing, there were moments where like, if I didn't give a few words here or there, or like stirred a few in terms of his mental direction,
Yeah.
he probably wouldn't be the person he is today.
Yeah.
But back on why him, it's a really interesting one because, you know, we've had this conversation before,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
over a couple of drinks in terms of why you. I think you yourself like asked that
Yeah,
question, right? It's a bit of a funny answer, really, but in year 9 and year 10, I hate to say it, but I just wore me down. Like, in all honesty, I genuinely did not really like tutoring him that much, you know, not that
Yeah.
much. Like, he was all right, but like, he was just here we go, and again, another fight, another argument, another student that hates Aryan, like another student that's crying from Aryan. It just goes on and on. And then I'm the one in the bridge as the tutor in the tutoring business dealing with all of this, right? So he really wore me down. But during those classes, he asked questions where, like, obviously everyone would ask their typical science and math question, right? But he asked a lot of questions about, you know, let's say my life, or let's say about whatever I'm doing, or, you know, he could also find analogies within the course content to relate it to something lifelike. And I always found that very admirable. It's like, okay, this guy can think in a different angle. And maybe this thinking is something that, you know, if I can nurture, maybe it could turn out to be something great for the both of us. So, yeah, look, he wore me down, year 9 and year 10, to a point where once we were in VC, I was seeing the guy 4 to 5 times every week. And in all honesty, guys, if you are seeing someone, whether it's your student or whether it's your father or your mother, whoever it is, if you are seeing someone on a repetitive basis, 1.5 hours times 4, and yeah, it's very academic and stuff.
Yeah.
You do sort of like, you care for that person. That's just the reality of it. And I think a lot of you students out there that see me maybe 3-4 times in various tutoring sessions, you feel that, okay, maybe it's a bit of like a sibling relationship now, more than just like a student and tutor relationship. But then, yeah, I mean, a lot of my mates do like Aryan. Within a lot of my businesses, Aryan does have a passion with a lot of the sort of the interests and hobbies within it. But I think a big thing I must say is more than his personality and everything, it was two factors that really did help this. It was number one, his parents, and number two, his geography of where he is from me. So Aryan lives a 2-minute drive from me. To me, that is very convenient. When I need something done, I can give this guy a bit of money or an incentive and he'll get it done, basically. But other than that, his parents were very open. Like his parents and my parents, they know each other as well. So like there is that family friend connection too, which probably is a factor within all of this. His parents are very open. His parents were very trusting when it came to whatever I gave in terms of advice, in which their parents were like, you know what, like, look at him as the elder sibling or look at him as the mentor, whatever it is. And to be honest with you guys, I got a dopamine hit every time. Like I felt like a lot of the things where I gave you the solution, but then I ended off with, look, take it if you want. If it ends south, don't blame it on me, right? It's like the crypto advice. Take it if you want. If it goes down, don't blame it on me. But I think you took a lot, majority of the things I've said, and most of the time I feel like it's not for the better.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I mean, that's my perspective on the whole chosen one. I mean, would you say it's
I
from your point
agree,
of view? Yeah. The next question. How did I shape you as a person from when you started at Cenable Care versus the person you are today? Doesn't have to be from a tutoring angle. Like, is there a quote I've said? Is there a way of my life? Is there something that I do or did that you believe will stick with you forever?
Okay, there have been a plethora of quotes, obviously, throughout those few years.
Yeah, even this year as well.
Too many that I can't remember, but they definitely did hit hard in all aspects of life. You know, whether it came to work, whether it came to hobbies, whether it came to friends. And obviously seeing you as a mentor throughout all those years definitely helped me grow in terms of not only professionally, academically, and personally as well. And just in terms of what you did, you were like the way you did where you ran the businesses, the way you did things, that was like my ideal situation. You know, I always strive to be like that. Obviously, there are a few things which I can't manage as well as you do. I don't think anyone could, to be honest. But yeah, that's just the big thing.
Yeah, I guess so. It creates a strive.
Yeah.
Would you say that? Like it creates something to look up to.
Exactly.
Guys, honestly, I don't see myself as some god or whatever. I've got my own, like mentors to an extent, but I've also got my own people that I look up to. If you are interested on who that may be, like Novak Djokovic is definitely a big one. Lionel Messi is another big one. So sporting gods within their fields. And then also like just within my family too. There are definitely some friends I have that I look up to in various like little extents here and there. But I would say those are the big three, my dad and these two. Next question. Was Akash more your tutor, your therapist, or your only friend?
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Who came up with that question?
I wonder. Everything, bro. I can't lie. It was like, you were my tutor, you were my mentor, you were my therapist, you were my mate, all at once.
Yeah.
But obviously they occurred in segments. For example, in class, you would like batter me verbally. In terms of academics, you know, it was like it switched on and off in between. So academic, then professional, then friendship, then therapist, like stuff like that. You know?
It's like they say, expect the unexpected, right?
Multifaceted relationship for sure.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
Now this is from one of your students actually.
Really?
Recently, it has been observed that you went with a rave with me. And maybe you've been to other haps with me. I'm sure the students out there in Cenable are wondering, is Akash really that fun outside the classroom? Because every time they come in, I'm working. Every time they leave, I'm working. There's a class after, there's a class before. So like, how does someone like this actually have fun? What's your experience like, man? You're the one that dealt with me at the end.
Definitely the spontaneity, bro. Like, most of the haps we've ever had were very spontaneous. For example, the night before the chemistry exam, me and a friend who also did tutoring at Cenable Care, we went to Gimlet the night before the chemistry exam.
Now, mind you, everyone, this is not peer pressured by me whatsoever. I was like, these boys were studying at the tutoring center the night before, just last little bits of revision and tips. And it just hit me all at once because the other student that we went with, his name was Cheer.
Yeah.
The other student we went with, it's just like I realized, oh God, this is like the last time when the two of you I probably see like this, right? And I tutored him in methods chem, Lang, and methods accelerated, and he also did special too. And then obviously with you with all the subjects. So I was like, I just put it out there where end of the day, what is like the night before gonna do, or even 2 nights before gonna do, right? It's just like, yo, boys, you want to get some dessert? Hop on, you know, yeah. But
That was fun.
But yeah, like I think moments like that are gonna be more memorable than I don't know, like a little thing in a chem exam or like a methods
100%.
exam, right? Like it is important, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, as a tutor, I have to say it's important.
Yeah.
But I think there's sometimes where I can relate what you just said is when kids skip class off a tutoring class because they've got a sack the next day or an exam the next day. Now, to be fair, you did that a couple times, so nothing crazy. And I think every tutoring company deals with this. And your VC kids, you may deal with this here or there too, right? It's hard because when we look at it, we think, this ain't gonna do shit, you kids. Like, you genuinely, what do you think you're gonna do? Like, study 6 hours a day or what? Like, take Adderall meds and go crazy the night? Ain't gonna work, right? But as a student, they don't know that. So that's the sad reality. But, so, hey, am I fun, man? That's what the...
Of course, yes,
Okay,
bro.
cool. All right. That doesn't mean I'm raving with everyone, all right? So don't expect that. But yeah, anyways.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Aryan.